In 2008, a man named Jerry Yang turned down $44 billion. Steve Ballmer's Microsoft walked up to Yahoo with an open checkbook and offered to buy the entire company, $31 a share, a 60% premium, $44.6 billion in cash and stock. And Jerry Yang, the guy who had co-founded Yahoo out of a trailer at Stanford, looked at that number and said no. He thought his company was worth more. Within a year, Yahoo's stock had fallen to a third of what Microsoft offered. 9 years later, the company finally sold, not for $44 billion, not for anything close, for $4.5 billion, to a phone company, and got quietly folded into AOL. Say those two numbers next to each other, because they are the entire story. $44 billion, offered and refused. $4 billion, taken. And here is the part that should make your teeth hurt. This was the company that once was the internet. Before Google was a verb, before Facebook existed, Yahoo was the front door, the first thing hundreds of millions of people saw every single time they went online. It could have owned Google. It could have owned Facebook. It said no to both of them, and then it said no to saving itself. This is Flatline, where every week I wheel one dead company under the lights and find out what actually stopped its heart, not the press release version, the real one. Tonight we open up Yahoo. And the cause of death is not the one word you're already reaching for. Let me take you back, because you cannot understand how far this thing fell until you understand how high up it started. Yahoo was born in 1994 in a campus trailer at Stanford, out of two engineering students, Jerry Yang and David Filo, who started keeping a list. Just a list. A hand-sorted directory of the good websites they'd found, so their friends could find them too. They called it, and I am not making this up, Jerry and David's Guide to the World Wide Web. When the web was a dark room, Yahoo was the guy at the door handing you a map. And it worked so well it became a verb before Google did. You didn't search, you Yahoo'd. By the time it went public, that little list had turned into the busiest destination on the entire internet. Email, news, finance, sports, weather, chat rooms, a purple exclamation mark on the homepage of the world. In January 2000, at the very top, the market said Yahoo was worth $125 billion. It wasn't a website. It was the lobby the whole internet walked through. So how does the lobby of the internet end up as a trivia question? The comfortable answer, the one you already have loaded, is one word: Google. Google built a better search engine, and it ate Yahoo alive. And look, that's not wrong, exactly. But it is the lazy last line of the report, and it skips something so strange you'll think I'm making it up. Because Yahoo didn't lose the search war for lack of search. Yahoo had search first. For years, Yahoo was so uninterested in its own search box that it paid another company to run it, and for a while, that company was Google. Yahoo put Google search on its own front page and sent it a generation of users, personally, by hand. It looked directly at the thing that would kill it, and it rented it. That is not a company that got out-innovated. That is a company that did not understand what it was holding, and that is the real disease, the one on the certificate. Yahoo never decided what it actually was. Was it a technology company or was it a media company? It could never choose, so it was mediocre at both. And you can watch that indecision play out in the two worst no's in business history. Rewind to 1998. Two other Stanford PhDs, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, have built a search engine so good it's almost frightening, and they don't really want to run a company. They want to sell it and finish their degrees. And Yahoo, who knew them, waved them off. Why? Because Yahoo didn't want you to search well. A search box that instantly gave you the right answer sent you away. Yahoo wanted you to stay on the portal, clicking around the lobby, looking at ads. Good search was bad for business. So they let Google walk. Then 4 years later, in 2002, having finally realized search was the whole game, Yahoo tried to buy Google back and offered around $3 billion. Google's price was $5. And Yahoo's CEO, a Hollywood studio veteran named Terry Semel balked at the number. $3 billion. A company he could have owned for $3 billion is now worth around $2 trillion. That is the single most expensive flinch in corporate history. But here's the thing about a company that doesn't know what it is. It goes shopping to figure it out. Instead of building the hard technology, Yahoo spent the 2000s buying things. It bought Broadcast.com for $5.7 billion and shut it down. It bought GeoCities, the original build-your-own-homepage internet, for $3.5 billion and shut it down. It bought Flickr, which should have been Instagram, and starved it while Instagram ate the entire category. It bought Delicious, Tumblr, a graveyard of good ideas. It kept buying the future and letting it rot in a drawer. And the one time the actual future came knocking, in 2006, when a 22-year-old named Mark Zuckerberg was willing to sell Facebook for about $1 billion. Yahoo had a bad quarter, got nervous, and lowered its offer. Zuckerberg walked. Yahoo had the future in its hands, over and over, and kept handing it back. So let's call the time of death. And like most of these, it's a long bleed, not a single shot. 2008. The Microsoft offer, $44 billion, refused. The stock collapses. The corporate raider Carl Icahn storms the board demanding heads. By 2009, Yahoo has given up on its own search entirely and signs a deal to run Microsoft's Bing, the search company now outsourcing search to its other rival. There is exactly one smart thing Yahoo did in this whole story, and it was almost an accident. Back in 2005, it put $1 billion into a tiny, unknown Chinese company called Alibaba. That bet got so enormous that by the middle of the 2010s, Yahoo's slice of Alibaba was worth more than all of Yahoo, which meant the market was valuing the actual Yahoo, the search, and the mail and the news, at less than nothing. The lifeboat was worth more than the ship. In 2012, they brought in a superstar to save it. Marissa Mayer, employee number 20 at Google, one of the most famous executives in tech. She bought Tumblr for over $1 billion, brought in free food and big salaries, and a movie star sheen. And she still could not answer the one question nobody at Yahoo had answered in 20 years. What is this company actually for? And then the ceiling caved in. Hackers had stolen data on 3 billion accounts, every Yahoo account that had ever existed, and it stayed buried until the company was already on the auction block. In 2017, Verizon bought what was left of Yahoo for $4.5 billion, knocking hundreds of millions off the price over those breaches, and merged it with AOL. The purple exclamation mark that had been the front door of the internet was now a line item at a phone company. And the leftover shell, the one holding the Alibaba shares, got renamed Alibaba, a quiet admission that the most valuable thing about Yahoo, in the end, was the part that wasn't Yahoo. Now for the finding, the one line I'd write on the certificate. It is not killed by Google. Cross that out. What killed Yahoo is that it confused being a destination with being a business. It thought its whole job was to be the homepage, the door everybody passed through, and it spent 20 years polishing the doorway instead of building a single room worth staying in. It had search, the hardest and most valuable technology of its entire era, sitting right there in its hands, and it gave it away because good search meant you left the lobby faster. It optimized for the click and lost the century. Underneath all of it was that one unmade decision, media company or tech company. Never chose. So every time the future knocked, Google, Facebook, its own search team, the whole open door of the internet, Yahoo, not even sure what it was, said no thanks. So here's the scar to keep. Decide what you are. A business that tries to be everything to everyone becomes a doorway, and nobody in the end remembers a doorway. The moment you'd rather own the traffic than own the technology, you have chosen to be a toll booth on somebody else's road. And roads get rerouted. We've had a good few up on this table now. Kodak clutched its film. Blockbuster clung to its late fees. Nokia married its keyboard. BlackBerry fell in love with being right. Toys R Us got bled dry by its owners. MySpace rented out the very crowd that loved it. And Yahoo? Yahoo stood in the doorway of the entire internet, with the keys to the future in its pocket the whole time, and spent 20 years insisting it just needed to redecorate the lobby. It could have been Google. It could have owned Facebook. Instead, it became a trivia question. $4.5 billion and a punchline. Roll the sheet back over. I'll see you at the next slab.